All right, welcome everyone to another episode of our podcast. I think this is number 23 or 24. This week we have Joanna Wyckoff on with us. She's probably someone you guys know from the Facebook groups if you spend any time online. And she's also a pretty big personality in the Medicare space. So I'll let Joanna kind of introduce herself.
Hey y'all, thanks for having me. I am the co-creator of Medicare Mentors Facebook group and the creator of the Insurance Ladies Facebook group, and a couple others have me as a moderator and a group expert. I started in Medicare myself back in 2017 as a struggling life agent, and the only reason I started in Medicare, Joe, was because I came from Social Security. As a federal job, and someone said, "Hey, why don't you sell Medicare? You already know the A's and the B's and stuff." I was like, "I didn't even know you could sell Medicare," And we were talking, Chris and I were just talking about how it's a struggle to get started, and you spend 2 months doing certifications, and you might not sell anybody, or like, how do you get started and everything? And it's not the get rich quick kind of thing that most people think. Most people think, I'm just going to get my AHIP and a couple of carrier certifications and sit here and enroll people all day that are just going to call me and say, "Hey, Joanna, I want that Humana plan I just saw on TV." It's not that easy. Getting in front of the client is actually the hardest part that Medicare agents have. And I know you have a lot of final expense friends. I think that the final expense agent has the perfect setup because they're already in front of the client. They already got a check from that client. So now they have that client's trust. And the next natural thing is, "Hey, Mr. Smith, have you had anybody look at your Medicare lately? Let me take a look and see if you're in the right plan for yourself." Or even if they just had a review, and, "Hey, would you like me to follow both of you in October? All the new plans are coming out and changing." People who already do business with you are likely to do business with you again.
Joanna, I think it's interesting that there's a lot of, and I think this is an important distinction to make because everyone knows you because of the efforts you put into helping the community. But just because someone's online doesn't necessarily mean they actually know everything about what they're speaking about. So to an agent watching the video today, talk to them about vetting people, talking to the right people, working with a legitimate mentor, not just signing up to work with someone because that person looked like they posted the most information.
Finding a mentor is really important. And I didn't do a good job of this in my first couple of years. I sucked at finding a mentor because you don't know what you don't know, right, Chris? When the girl told me, "Hey, you should sell Medicare," I thought I was going to become her downline. And no, because Medicare, you have to have so many people to be upline, and some people don't want a downline, right? So she put me direct to her, what they call an MGA, and they start with a K, and they're in South Georgia, and they didn't have no training. They barely answered the phone. And the one time I did call, I was like, "Hey, how do I set up a table on a Saturday?" I was working full time at Social Security. I wanted to do sales on Saturdays, like seminars and stuff, And they were like, "Oh, you can't do that. Just buy leads." I was like, "Well, buying leads didn't work for me because I was calling people Thursday and Friday night to get Saturday appointments. And that was tough, So it took me over a year to find my former mentor, my current mentor, Joe Totola, who wanted to help me and everything. And I had contracts everywhere. I gave a couple contracts to this person, got me into Walmart. I gave Joe a couple, and I would, call and see who was actually going to help me, And Joe showed up every time. "Hey, Joe, how do I look up a decent?" Back then, it was not as easy as it is now. Agents now, you guys are coming into the land of technology where insurance toolkits exist. I didn't have this 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? I was asked 5 years ago, I was calling Chris and Nick Frumpkin saying, "Hey, who takes metformin and this and this and this?" Like we had cheat sheets, right? But how to find a mentor, you really want to see what they know, what kind of training program they have, because if they have no training program, well, how are you going to learn? If they have never sold something, and there's some of them out there like that, if they've never sold a Humana plan, how are they going to walk you through selling a Humana plan, right? I think, and I am an FMO now myself, but I still sell passively, Chris, because I believe that it keeps me sharp. Like I can tell you what question to answer on a, Aetna MedSup app, right? Because I've sold it, right? I can tell you what level of LIS you're going to have and everything because I sell it every day. And I think that's important to have a strong mentor who, I mean, they don't have to currently sell. I mean, once you get, a couple hundred agents, it's impossible to continue to sell and, manage your agents full time. It's impossible. When I was, at my previous location, once I hit 400 agents, I couldn't sell all day. It was not fair, but they should have some experience. They should have sales coming in, and they should be able to teach you. They should be able to answer questions like this. A newer mentor might have to go look some stuff up, but someone who's, real in the game and everything, they shouldn't have to say, hey, guaranteed issue MedSup, let me go look it up and get back to you. They should know it off the top of their head,
Makes sense. Joe, you wanted to talk a little bit with Joanna about ACA and understanding that marketplace. It's probably the trending topic in the insurance communities. So maybe you could kind of throw some content our way about it, and then let Joanna expand a little bit about what on earth ACA is.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of requests recently for agents who have seen it online and just ask us about it just because we have that widget on our site, so we're the easiest people to contact. I do think it's interesting how it came out. There's the subsidy extended, then you look on Facebook and it's people that you've maybe known for a while or never heard of. Now they claim to be selling 50 apps a day, and it's the easiest thing ever. And they just have the CRM set up and all the leads come in and they sell themselves. And of course, it's never as easy as it seems. Just looking at the basic level, not every state is on the national exchange. There's the other statewide, like New Jersey's a really tough one, and there's other states as well. So Joanna, I guess you kind of provide your opinion as to how that's going to play out and who you should look for advice on the ACA topics.
So it's funny, back when I was trying to learn ACA in 2018, when I had my first Walmart table and people were asking me for it, like there was nobody willing to show me how to do it. Like people were gatekeeping the information like hard, And then I found Michael Shellback, shout out to Mike. Mike gave me my first Ambetter contract, and he was willing to show me how to use Help Sherpa. He answered a bunch of my questions when I had something mess up and everything. And like he would easily zoom me in and just help me fix it. And I really appreciate Mike. Mike's been around since before Obamacare existed. He really understands health insurance and everything. So when I looked for a mentor, I wanted someone who just didn't learn what a PPO was, and so I can call Mike right now and say, hey, I have this funky problem. It's doing this. And he's like, oh, yeah, I had that 2 years ago. This is how you fix it. He's knowledgeable like that. He's seen every problem there is. Same thing with Malia Rogers. Malia Rogers, when I was creating Nation Care's under 65 program in 2020, as the world collapsed for COVID and everybody needed Obamacare because everybody was losing their job, right? Like Joe and I set out, we were like, all right, we need an under 65 program. Millions of people are losing their jobs and they're going to qualify for these subsidies. Let's help them. And the agents wanted to sell it too. We went and Malia was the only agent I've ever pitched. I've never pitched anybody else. Everybody else has come to my door. I went to Malia and banged on the door. I said, Malia, I need you to work with me because I need someone to help Mike train these agents. Like, I'm not going to present myself as the expert. I am the upline, right? But I need 2 under 65 manager trainers to help the agents when they get stuck on things and how to develop their skills. Because Malia is fantastic when it comes to claims. When one of her clients calls her with a claims issue or whatever, she can just dive right in and help. A lot of agents are focused on the sale and not the service that comes after it. You're going to have people who say, hey, I just got a $30,000 bill because this person that was in the surgery wasn't in the network, right? What do? I call Malia, right?
You just said something there I want to run on for a minute because Eric Kamadi just said the same thing on my agency call on Monday. It's the concept of sales versus service. A lot of agents in the business that are really just all about the money or all about the sales. And then when they've got more money than they've ever had before, they find their way to the next shiny object. Holy cow, I've got 10 grand in the bank. Now I'm going to go do this. Holy cow, that person's got 5 more points in comp. Now I'm going to go do that. That's all about the sale, the sale, the sale. But they forget the service end of this business. Like, you can service your clients and then build that renewal and build that referral and build a quality business. You know, Joe takes a lot of time and effort on the Toolkit side to service the customers that are in live chat, to hire staff to service the customers, because the whole company is built on a subscription base. Right. It's not just about the sale, it's about the service. So talk to us a little bit more about that, because there's a fine line between making AP, making money, and making this a service industry as well.
Right. So unlike life insurance, where people don't use it until they die or until they get injured and need to use the accidental benefits and everything, insurance, health insurance is used on a regular basis, and people want to make sure it works when they get sick, right? And when it doesn't work, you are the face of the company. You sold me this AM Better. You sold me this Bright Health. So it's not working. Now it's your problem to help me fix it. Most people don't know to call AM Better, or they're not going to, because they called you to sell it, get it, right? So they expect you to be involved in the fixing of it. Just like with Medicare, when someone says, hey, Joanna, I'm at the doctor's office and they're telling me that they don't take this Humana PPO plan anymore, they expect you to be the one to fix it, right? So there's not a whole lot of service work in it, but you do have to be involved in, knowing how to help your client when they do have something that comes up. Usually it's something like network issues, or, something that should have been covered that didn't get coded correctly. And with billing and coding, things that insurance don't study, if code is wrong, that's an easy way for something not to get covered that should have been covered, sometimes it's just the person at the doctor's office who did the billing and coding wrong. It's just calling them and saying, hey, I think this code needs to be reviewed and please resubmit it to, AM Better or Medicare, whoever, it is. But a lot of agents are like, yeah, I sold 20 people today. And they don't realize that those 20 people are going to have questions on how to use their plan, their policy. And, well, do you know how to use your plan policy, right? Do you know how to access it? Do you know how to pay your monthly bill? I mean, not everybody gets a $0 premium, right? I mean, I'm seeing people in the Facebook groups asking very basic questions for Medicare, and I'm like, did you do your AHIP? Right? I mean, are you sure
It's true. I think also what a lot of agents may not be realizing is if you're writing 100 plans a month, or you're doing 100 during AHIP, you're going to get some level of service work, and you need to be able to be prepared to handle that. If you're all these hundreds of ACA clients are eventually going to call for something, and to service them, do you consider hiring staff? Do you consider automation? Do you consider how you're going to service them later on? It's that sales versus service side. Joe, as the company got bigger, you hired more people to do more things. And I think a lot of agents struggle to realize that they're not just a salesman, but they're a business as well. So maybe you can share some thoughts about the idea of creating structure, hiring staff, and why that might be important for Medicare and ACA agents.
I agree. We can't hear you.
Sorry, my mic muted. But yeah, a lot of agents look at the sale as just the sale, but they don't realize that doing the service makes you more money. Like if you understand ACA, you'd know that the dental's not that great. So just by asking your clients, do you want an extra, the dental policy Emeritus is $24 a month. That can lead to a lot more sales. Or with your Medicare, if you service your business, you're going to get referrals, because down the line, they have friends, they have family who are aging in. Oh, I talk to this guy every few months when I have a question and he helps me. So by doing the service work, you actually make yourself more money, if you want to think of it like that, just because there's always more business to get. And the more that you understand, if you understand that the Medicare Advantage plan has a $200 a day hospital copay, you might start bundling in HI and just show that to every client. Even if you don't try to sell it, probably 1 out of every 5 is going to say, yeah, I want that. You need to sign me up. It's not like life insurance where you have to pitch them. So by understanding the products and not, I really hate when people go online and say, oh, go to Quizlet, just breeze through the AHIP. If it's fine if you just want to go through it, but you should still understand it. You should still, get what you're looking at. And because there's a point as to why we take it, is that people who are incompetent aren't out there representing plans to clients. And it can also hurt you because you can get complaints and mess things up. And the last thing anyone wants is if you have a client with a health need and you have a doctor that's out of network because you don't understand that the doctor's not required to take the PPO. It's just something that they can take if they choose to bill it. So little things like that can make a big difference in your client's business as well as your own. So I think it is. And speaking on the topic of courses, I generally am against everyone and their mom selling a course. But my dad did buy a Mike Shellbox's course, and he did say it was very informational. It taught him everything he needed to know without the fluff, without obstacles either. So if anyone's looking for a course for ACA, that's probably the one that I looked at it too. That's the one I would recommend. And it seems to be one that's probably the most complete that's out there right now. So
I agree. I have not purchased it myself, but I've had probably over 100 agents or people I know purchase it and come back and say, Joanna, you were right. Mike Shellback is the bee's knees. I was like, I mean, he mentored me and he got me to understand like something so simple. Like ACA is such a simpler sell than Medicare, but Medicare agents like to overcomplicate everything. So yeah, so I mean, I think it's worth it. I've never had anybody say Mike Shellback's course was not worth it. Matter of fact, that they're like, we want more. We want, his secret sauce, the more secret sauce of how he's doing everything. And Mike and I worked together for a period of time, and he's just a machine who's hungry. But he understands customer service, and he understands that if he answers that phone call, he's going to get more referrals from those people that he's helping to fix their problem. Mike,
interesting point, Joanne. I'm sorry about asking about hospital indemnity and critical illness. Literally everyone I've ever sold that to has used it. If you guys aren't offering those products, you're underserving your clients and missing additional revenue. Cancer, heart attack, stroke, hospital indemnity. They're give me's, and they're not the same kind of purchase as life products because people see them of a different value. I'm sorry, Joanna, go ahead.
No, everybody should offer it. I mean, and it doesn't hurt you to say, hey, do you want to talk about these couple extra products that are going to cover that 20% gap? Would you rather pay $30 a month, or would you rather get an $1,800 bill from the hospital? I would rather pay $30 a month and get that reimbursement. And we attach about 40% of cancer onto a PDP because that's where the medications really get, even if you have a med sup, Joe, and all the medical treatments covered, those Part D prescriptions get costly. And then on top of that, usually when someone has cancer, they usually need some help. Like if I had cancer today, I would probably need someone to help me clean my house. I would probably need someone to help me drive me to my appointments. I would need some supportive services that Medicare's not going to cover someone driving me to my appointments, things like that. Like I've had friends go through horrible cancers and everything's different, I mean, I went through COVID and I couldn't keep my eyes open, so I couldn't imagine going through cancer and having to, maintain my clients and my agents and all this. And it's expensive. People lose a lot of money just trying to get treated, go through radiation and stuff. Right. I know a couple people, insurance agents. There's a couple insurance agents going right now through radiation and stuff, and they're exhausted. So, I mean, selling that $10,000, $20,000 cancer policy is needed, even if they do have a med sup, because they're going to need it on the prescription side and on the supporting side,
Absolutely. What do you think is a good goal for an agent for AEP? I think agents may not realize, if they're just hearing about Medicare, that anything you write between those months you're not getting paid for until January. Obviously there's the cross-sell opportunities that will get you paid quicker, but what do you think is a good goal for an agent to write during AEP?
A new agent, I think one a day is a good sale. One a day. A lot of people are going to say, oh, I wrote 400 this AEP. They're not new. I'm saying my first AEP, Chris, I was working full-time at Social Security from 7 to 4. I would drive an hour to my Walmart, and some nights were hit and miss, and some nights I wrote a couple apps. I did 29 in 3 weeks at Walmart before my bronchitis and gallbladder failed out, and I was like that. I felt pretty good about that, And my IMO was like, you did more in 3 weeks than some agents did all year, and I believed it when I started training agents, Chris. I've trained well over 500 agents under my previous umbrella, and usually only 20% of the agents did any work. Usually most agents would write sporadically, because they would do all their certifications and then not have a marketing program to go with it. They didn't want to buy leads. They didn't want to, do grassroots. They didn't want to do anything consistently. They wanted to do everything as a, Joe's mom told me to call you, and so here I am, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It takes a while to get referrals. You have to do the work to start getting referral business. And that's what a lot of people don't understand is, we've discussed this many times before, Chris, is leads is the fastest way to get business. The fastest way to start a business is to invest in leads, right? You guys are in the lead business, but like there's so many people who are decent, and there's so many people I would stay away from, right? If somebody wants decent leads right now, my own Zach Rucker, Game Changer Leads, is one of the people I would trust. He charges a flat management fee and the cost of the actual per lead. He's done NationCare's leads for the last 2 years. And I mean, the leads are calling the agents. It says the agent's name 5 times and everything. So it says Chris Smith. It's nothing he can resell to Joanna, right? And there's a couple other folks, but like people ask me, who do I trust in the lead game for Medicare? I was like, honestly, direct mail, it's kind of too late to drop direct mail right now. Go Health, and everybody else has probably bought most of it already, right? So I would do Facebook leads myself if I needed some leads for AEP right now.
I use NFRP. I've always had a good experience with NFRP. So it's
What's that?
National Federation of Retired. I forget who I speak to there, but it was I think his name is Robert. I can grab it, but I always had good experience with their direct mail. And if there was a drop that didn't return well, because they charged per drop, not per lead, they would refund part of it. But I guess on the topic of AEP, we can cover real quick. With that coming up, a lot of the carriers have released their first looks. In my opinion, if you do have your carrier reps near you who are doing meets, go to them. It's worth it. I've personally generated probably at this point close to 700 apps just based off of the relationships I have with my reps, and that's like all of my business to this point. So if you're not going to those because you think they're a waste of time, not only do they usually provide food and other things, but there can often be opportunities that you don't know about just by going. But at least from what I've seen with the first looks in Chris and I's area, which is like the Pennsylvania, Delaware area, it's probably, since I started in 2017, the biggest jump in terms of year-over-year benefits. In terms of we're getting a slew of PPO D-SNPs. The benefits are jacking up with the cards, with the D-SNPs each month, with the 300. They're rolling in utilities and everything else. So Joanna, I know that you do more nationally, but have you, when you're looking at first looks, if an agent isn't selling Medicare right now, what would you say in terms of the increased amount of benefits they could offer, how much more important it could be for 2023 to sell these products?
Yeah, so if you're selling life insurance, like final expense, and you're seeing my client, and they're like broker like anything, right? My client is probably telling you that they're choosing between ramen noodles and prescription, right? You can easily help them put more money back in their pocket and find a way to sell them a small final expense policy by just solving that problem with the Medicare. And you just said some of these Medicare plans that are now giving over $150 a month in food cards. Here in Georgia, there's no food stamps for seniors. They're getting $16 maybe if they're under $800 a month, right? $150 food card is life-changing to a single senior. That's basically 3 weeks worth of their grocery bills for them. 4 weeks if they stretch it out, right? But I mean, they can literally buy decent, healthy groceries, for that. And most of my seniors when I worked at Social Security down here in Atlanta, Georgia, on the South Side, most people, their checks were between $800 and $1,200 a month. And that barely covers rent here, So most people are having to get roommates, or some of them are like living with kids now. I just took in my aunt because she couldn't afford rent on her own, right? And so helping people solve the problem with their Medicare, getting them the $170 a month part B back by helping them qualify for the Medicare savings program, that's massive. That's someone's electric bill, right? Getting them extra help for part D, reducing those $100 medications, those inhalers, to less than $10, that's massive. Right? I mean, I know so many times people be like, I can't afford that medication. I'm supposed to take this, but I can't afford it. How many times have you heard that? I'm supposed to take this medication, but I can't afford it. So as final expense agents looking for the final expense sale, if you were to help someone get $170 back in their check a month, would you think that they would use 40 of it, 50 of it for a small policy, right? And maybe even 100 of it.
Absolutely. I'm more interested about robotic dogs because I think that'd be pretty strange to walk into a home and see a robotic dog. Although Joe doesn't think that's the best product out there yet. These plans do have amazing benefits. And if you're a skilled, veteran, stable final expense agent, then you're not at least getting AHIP certified, understanding the product that you have and having one marketable product in your bag, you're missing at least easily $10,000 of extra revenue during AEP. You don't have to drop extra mail. You don't have to get 35 carriers, but you do have to be willing to diversify yourself a little bit. And when you stumble on a dual without a plan, someone turning 65, or that question's asked to you through October, November, and December, do the right thing and solidify that client base. I mean, that's the whole reason why I really ventured into the Medicare space. And you can ask Joe, I don't have 32 different carriers. I can't even keep track of all those logins, but I can comfortably log into the Cigna site, don't laugh at me, and figure out what to do with the dual that doesn't have the coverage they're supposed to have.
And Chris is a good example of just, even if you don't love, like in probably one of the most competitive states in the country, Chris picked one carrier with a relatively middling benefit, and he sells it though, but he presents it to clients and he's able to help a lot of people. So you don't have to contract with all 15 local carriers. You can just start with one or two and pick one of the big national ones, and just, you'll learn as you go. But there's a lot of value in, like Joanna said, learning how to apply for LIS, state pharmaceutical assistance programs. Like in Pennsylvania, the PACE app takes like 5 minutes. You just log in, you upload the documents. If you can do it for the client, you save them probably hours of time, because most of these people can't do that. Then they get their letter in the mail in 2 weeks, and now you're the person attached in their head to that letter that they got, and suddenly they're paying $6 to $7 per their fills, whereas before. And then in some cases you can even get the QMB, and that's the whole nother rabbit hole. But they'll never leave you if you can do that, because you open up a whole new world of benefit for people who don't have that much money to begin with. So,
and unlike life insurance, where people don't call their next door neighbor and say, "Hey, my life insurance agent was just here and got me a Royal Neighbors benefit," right? They're gonna go tell all their friends that they just got a fancy food card and a robotic dog and their utility card paid for. They do, I've had people call me and say, "Hey, can I bring my mom and my sister back with me?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" They don't understand how to get paid and everything, but I was like, whoever you think of that could use my help, even if it's just filling out paperwork, I don't mind doing it. If I can help someone get QMB or fight their IRMA because I'm a specialist in it, I don't mind doing it, because Social Security's paperwork is daunting. People would bring me back my own letter and say, "Hey, Miss Joanna, I need you to help me fill out this that you just sent to me." I'm like, "Really? can you start with your name?" But they look at the letter and it would be daunting. So people just don't fill out forms. It's just a natural thing. If my parents didn't have me in their life, they wouldn't have the benefits they had, because they would just, my mom, she's sweet. I mean, most of you follow me on Facebook and see my mom and everything. My mom makes the best apple pie. My mom has been a caretaker her entire life. She's worked as a CNA at nursing homes and everything. My mom cannot fill out paperwork. She sits there and she looks at it and it's just daunting to her, but she just doesn't do it, right? So we have to micromanage her paperwork and everything for her. And so many seniors need our help because they're just looking at the paper going, "I don't understand this," And so, yeah, it means it's gotten me a lot of business, a lot of referrals and stuff. And going back to your carrier, so I was at a carrier dinner the other night, Joe, and because I drove 2 hours to this carrier dinner, it's a new carrier coming in to Georgia that's a 5-star in a couple other states, and they want the business in this particular town because of the doctor's network. They were like, "Joanna, we are going to hook you up with these doctors who are going to just send the clients to you to enroll their patients." I said, "Cha-ching, I'm going to be rich."
Actually, the same thing. I was at a rollout. When you live in the greater Philadelphia area, the pro is that every rollout is at the Phillies game and you get a box. The con is that every rollout is in the Phillies game and you get a box. The carriers are doing the same thing with one health center in Really for the agents that attended the rollout. So whoever isn't there isn't getting those referrals.
Yeah.
Whoever is there. So just, it's a good point.
And you know, my carrier managers, if you develop a good relationship with them, a lot of them, when you need help, they'll go to bat for you. You know, I've had one. I mean, I got one allegation back in 2019, January 2019, from 2018 AEP. 92-year-old lady said she didn't consent to the PDP I saved her thousands of dollars on, you know, and she probably has dementia or buyer's remorse, and somebody coached her into saying that, obviously, right? But you know, this broker manager, she canceled me back then in 2019, and we're still really good friends to this day. I mean, matter of fact, I had a car accident 2 years ago, and she was one of the first ones to say, "Hey, if you need a ride, I can come get you." You know, I mean, like, they care about the agents that care about them. You know, they get paid kind of similar to how uplines get paid. But like, if you waste their time and don't write anything for them, don't be calling them on December 7th, you know, asking for, you know, help at 9 o'clock at night, you know.
Relationships matter. And I think that's one of the things that when you look at it for sales versus service, it really is a different way. It's the same thing. Relationships matter. If you've been in the business longer than 15 minutes or 6 months, you'll find relationships matter even more. Relationships matter because what you don't realize if you're watching this video is everybody at that top tier of the industry, they all started at the bottom together. They all know each other. Often their contracts run through each other. They all have each other's phone number, and you'd be surprised how they all eat dinner and go to the same Phillies game together. So relationships do matter, and treating people the right way in the field can really make a big difference when good comes back to you. So Joe, any closing thoughts before we let Joanna go off to change the industry the rest of today?
No, I think, Joanna, if you could just leave a quick note of how agents could contact you if they want to get in touch with you, if they're interested in working with you.
Sure. Topflightagent.com. I have a consultant button right there. You can book a Zoom with me if you want to work together. If you just need some advice or anything, you can find me on Facebook, slide in my DMs and hit me up and everything. Join Medicare Mentors on Facebook group, and the Insurance Ladies if you are a lady. Chris tries to sneak into my group all the time. But we have fun and everything, and I appreciate you guys. I've known Chris for years, and he was like one of the first people who was willing to help me back when I was a struggling life agent under an MLN that did not want to do any trading. So I think what you guys are doing is great, shining the light on the industry and everything. Let the cockroaches scatter, right? So, but yeah, I enjoy what I do and everything, and I'm hoping for a great OE and an AEP and everything. If that can help anybody, just slide in the DMs.
Absolutely. Like the video, comment below, subscribe to the channel so we can cross that 200 or 2,000 subscriber mark sooner than later. 200,000, that'd be pretty awesome. Dave Duford, we'd have you by the balls there. Like, comment, and subscribe so other people in the industry can see what they don't even know is out there and available to them. Thank you.